Instructor Vax had seen a lot of stupid things in his 300 cycles of teaching combat theory at the Galactic Defense Academy. Truly, he had witnessed spectacular displays of incompetence. Students who could not tell a plasma rifle from a food dispenser, cadets who thought gravity was optional. One memorable Krell who managed to shoot himself in all 6 of his own feet during basic weapons training. But this human, this was going to be the highlight of his career. Her name was Kira Vale, and she sat in the back row of his tactical combat class, looking like she had wandered in from some primitive farming colony. Small, absurdly small. The girl barely reached his lower torso, and Rex was not even particularly tall by Vorthian standards. Her skin was this weird peachy color, not even properly scaled or armored. Just soft. Vulnerable. Pathetic. She had these round eyes, brown like mud, and hair that fell in dark waves around her shoulders. No natural weapons, no claws, no fangs, no venom sacs, no electropulse organs. Nothing. Flex clicked his mandibles together in what passed for a smirk among his people. Oh, this was going to be fun. All right, maggots, he barked, his voice echoing through the combat theory hall. Today we are going to discuss close-quarters combat scenarios. Specifically, what you do when your weapons fail and you are face-to-face with an enemy who wants you dead. The 100 or so students in the amphitheater sat up straighter. Well, most of them did. The human in the back row just kept staring at her datapad, tapping away at something. Probably some inane human thing. They were always obsessed with their primitive communication devices. You there? Vibrax pointed one of his forearms at Kira. Human? Yes, you with the fingers. Pay attention when I am speaking. She looked up slowly. Linked those round eyes at him. I am paying attention, sir. Really? Vax felt his secondary throat sacs inflate with irritation. Then perhaps you can tell the class what the primary advantage is in close combat when facing a Mandorian berserker. The other students shifted uncomfortably. Mandorian berserkers were no joke. 3 meters tall, built like living tanks with rage hormones that made them nearly impossible to stop once they got going. It was a trick question, obviously. The primary advantage was not engaging them in close combat at all. Kira did not even hesitate. Speed differential and joint manipulation. Mandorians have superior strength and reach, but their knee joints hyperextend backwards. A quick strike to the posterior ligaments causes immediate collapse. Then you target the primary breathing port at the base of the skull. The room went silent. Vrax felt his mandibles twitch. That was actually correct. Annoyingly correct. He had not expected the human to know that. Lucky guess, he muttered. Probably read it in your little datapad just now. No, sir, Kira said, her voice calm and level. I memorized the anatomical weaknesses of all 73 combat species in the Academy database during orientation week. Several students turned to stare at her. A Krell in the third row made a wheezing sound that might have been laughter or astonishment. Verlax felt his scales ripple with annoyance. Fine. The human had done her homework. That did not mean anything. Theory was easy. Application was what mattered. Well, the primitive ape can memorize facts. How impressive. Tell me, human, have you ever actually been in combat? No, sir. Exactly. Rizrax clicked his mandibles triumphantly. You know nothing. You are soft, weak. Your species has barely left your own star system, and you think you can compete with beings who have been fighting wars for millennia. You are a joke. Your entire species is a cosmic accident that somehow gained sentience. A few students snickered, not many. Most looked uncomfortable. The Galactic Defense Academy prided itself on being inclusive, but everyone knew humans were the new kids on the block. Barely a century since first contact. Still figuring out which end of a plasma rifle to point at the enemy, Kira just sat there, her expression unreadable. Is that your professional assessment, sir? Oh, she had attitude. Frax liked that. Actually, it would make breaking her so much more satisfying. It is objective fact, cadet. Humans are the weakest species in this academy. No Nutshin defenses. No enhanced senses. Your reaction times are pathetic. Your strength is laughable. You cannot even see in proper wavelengths. You are evolutionary failures who somehow stumbled into space travel. Interesting, Kira said, still in that maddeningly calm tone. Then perhaps you could explain why human soldiers have been requested for 70% of special operations missions in the past 5 years. Verks felt his temperature rise. That was, unfortunately, true. There had been a bizarre trend of human operatives being requested for high-risk assignments. He had always assumed it was some kind of political move, diversity quotings or whatever, because the brass feels sorry for your pathetic species and wants to give you participation trophies before you get yourselves killed. Or, a voice called from the middle rows, a sylph named Yana, because humans are actually good at this stuff. Vrax spun to glare at her. What did you say, cadet? Yana's translucent wings fluttered nervously, but she stood her ground. I trained with a human squad last semester, sir. They are different. They do not fight like us. They are creative, unpredictable. They take risks that no sane species would consider. And somehow, it works. Creative? Rzak spat the word like a curse. You mean reckless? Stupid, suicidal, effective, another voice added. This time it was Telmore, a massive Krell sitting near the front. My clutch brother serves on the frontier stations. He says human soldiers are insane. Absolutely insane. They do things that should get them killed, but instead they win. Every single time they find a way to win. Rzak could feel control of his classroom slipping away. This was unacceptable. Enough! I do not care what your clutch brothers or training partners think. I care about facts. And the fact is that humans are physically inferior in every measurable way. Strength? You lose. Speed? You lose. Durability? You definitely lose. You are weak. End of discussion. Kira raised her hand. What? Vax snapped. Permission to speak, sir. Denied. She spoke anyway. You are correct that humans lack many physical advantages. We are not as strong as Krell. Not as fast as Vorthians. Not as armored as Mendorians. We do not have the sensory range of sylphs or the regenerative capabilities of Telemarians. By every standard metric, we should be at the bottom of the combat effectiveness scale. Exactly my point. Admirax felt vindicated. Kira stood up slowly. Every eye in the room turned to watch her. But we are not at the bottom, sir. We are at the top, and that terrifies you. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Vervax felt his primary heart skip a beat. What did you just say to me, cadet? You heard me, sir. Kira stepped out from behind her desk and started walking down the aisle toward the front of the room. Her movements were smooth, controlled, each step deliberate and measured. You are terrified because you cannot understand how we do it. How creatures as weak and fragile as humans keep succeeding where stronger, faster, better species fail. It does not make sense to you, it breaks your worldview, and that scares you. I am not scared of you, human, Rax growled, all four of his arms tensing. You are nothing. Then prove it, Kira said, reaching the front of the room. She stood there, tiny compared to his bulk, looking up at him with those muddy brown eyes. Single combat. Right here. Right now. You keep saying humans are weak. Show the class. The room erupted in whispers. Students leaned forward in their seats. This was not standard academy protocol. Instructors did not fight students. It was against regulation. Inappropriate. Dangerous. Ved should have shut this down immediately. Should have sent the insolent human to the disciplinary board. Should have filed a formal complaint. But his pride, his stupid, stubborn pride, would not let him back down. You want to fight me, little human? You think your memorized facts and your attitude will help you when I crush you? I think, Kira said, stretching her arms above her head in a casual motion, that you talk a lot. But talking is not fighting, sir. That did it. Bregax felt his combat hormones surge. Fine. Fine. The human wanted a lesson. He would give her a lesson she would never forget. Single combat rules. No weapons. No enhancements. First to submit or incapacitation. Cadet Joth, you will referee. A nervous Tilmarian student scrambled forward to act as referee. The other students immediately began clearing the center of the room, pushing desks and chairs aside to create an impromptu combat arena. Kira stood in the center of the cleared space, rolling her shoulders. She looked so small, so fragile. This was going to be over in seconds. Rizak stepped into the arena, towering over her. He was twice her height, 4 times her mass, with natural armor plating and 4 arms capable of crushing steel. Last chance to apologize, human. Admit you are weak, and I will let you leave with only your dignity bruised. Start the match, Kira said to Joth. The Telmarian hesitated, looking between them. Sir, are you sure this is— Start the match. Match begins. Now. Riz lunged forward, all 4 arms reaching to grab the human and pin her to the ground. It would be quick. Humiliating for her. Perfect. Kira was not there. She had moved so fast he had barely seen it, slipping to his left side. Before he could react, he felt a sharp impact on the back of his primary knee joint. Pain shot up his leg and he stumbled forward. Off balance. Impossible. Humans were supposed to be slow. He spun, bringing 2 arms around in a wide sweep that should have caught her. She ducked under it, moving with this fluid grace that he had not expected. Her hand shot out, fingers rigid, and jabbed into the soft spot between his chest plates. The impact was minor, barely noticeable, except his secondary heart started spasming. What? How did she— Another strike. This time to his primary elbow joint. His arm went numb, fingers spasming. She was targeting nerve clusters. Specific, precise nerve clusters that most species did not even know Vorthians had. Vervax roared in fury and pain, bringing all his remaining functional arms down in a hammer blow that would have crushed stone. Kira rolled sideways, came up in a crouch, and kicked out hard at his ankle. The angle was perfect, the force precisely calibrated. His foot twisted, ligaments screaming, and he crashed to the ground. The impact knocked the wind from his lungs. He lay there, gasping, staring up at the ceiling. The entire exchange had taken perhaps 5 seconds. Kira stood over him, not even breathing hard. Do you yield? Vedax wanted to rage, wanted to claim a lucky shot, wanted to demand a rematch, but he could barely move. His secondary heart was still spasming. His arm was numb. His leg would not support his weight. She had disassembled him like a training dummy. I yield, he wheezed. The room was dead silent. 100 students stared in shock. Their instructor, a decorated combat veteran of 15 campaigns, had been beaten in seconds by a first-year human cadet. Kira offered him a hand. Vervax stared at it for a long moment before accepting. She helped pull him to his sitting position, which should have been impossible given their size difference. But she braced herself properly, used leverage instead of pure strength, and hauled him up with surprising ease. You studied Vorthian anatomy, Rax said. It was not a question. I studied all of it, sir. Every species, every weakness, every advantage. Kira stepped back, giving him space. That is what humans do. We study, we learn, we adapt. You are right that we are physically weaker, but we are not stupid. We do not fight you on your terms, we fight you on ours. Rax felt something shift in his understanding. The special operations requests, the mission success rates. You do not win by being stronger. We win by being smarter, sir. By being meaner. By refusing to quit even when we should. Kira looked around at the assembled students. My species spent most of our history fighting each other. We got very, very good at killing things that were bigger, stronger, and scarier than us. Humans have been fighting uphill battles since we lived in caves. It is what we do. A student in the back, a young Mandorian, raised a massive hand. But you are so small, so weak. How do you survive? Kira smiled, and there was something predatory in that expression. Something ancient and dangerous that made Vax's instincts scream. We survive because we are terrifying when we need to be. We survive because we are persistence predators who will chase you until you collapse from exhaustion. We survive because we can eat almost anything, live almost anywhere, and adapt to almost any environment. We survive because when you knock us down, we get back up, and we keep getting back up, and we keep coming, and we never ever stop. The room was silent. Students who had been snickering at the weak human minutes ago now looked at her with something approaching fear. Vedelv pulled himself fully to his feet, testing his weight on his injured leg. The pain was already fading. Nothing permanent, just his pride that was truly damaged. You made your point, cadet. Did I, sir? Kira tilted her head. Because I do not think I did. You still see me as weak, as lesser. You just realize I have a few tricks. Then what would you have me see? Kira was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice carried through the room with perfect clarity. Humans are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We are not the most advanced or the most powerful. But we are the most stubborn. We are the species that looked at fire and decided to control it. We are the species that looked at flight and built machines to achieve it. We are the species that looked at space and said, why not? We do not accept limitations. We do not accept defeat. We find a way or we make one. She turned to address the entire class now, and Vivrax realized he had lost control of this lecture completely. Every species in this room has natural advantages. Things you were born with. Gifts from evolution. Humans were born with nothing except a brain that would not shut up and a stubborn refusal to die. So we made tools. We made weapons. We made plans. We turned our weakness into our greatest strength because we had to. Because if we did not, we would go extinct. Yana spoke up, her voice soft. What is your greatest strength? Kira smiled. We lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves we can do impossible things. We convince ourselves that the unbeatable can be beaten. We refuse to accept reality when reality says we should give up. And sometimes, reality blinks first. Telmore leaned forward. That sounds like madness. It absolutely is, Kira agreed cheerfully. We are a species of crazy persistence hunters who looked at the food chain and decided we wanted to be at the top even though we had no business being there. We are insane, and that insanity has taken us from caves to starships in 10,000 years. Your species took 100,000. Some took 1,000,000. We did it in 10,000 because we were too stupid to know it was impossible. Vax found himself laughing. Actually laughing. It hurt his still spasming secondary heart, but he could not help it. You are right. You are absolutely right. Humans are insane. Completely, Kira said. But we are your insane allies. And when things go wrong, when the mission is impossible, when the odds are 1,000 to 1 against, you want humans on your side. Because we are the species that looks at those odds and says, yeah, okay, we have fought worse. Another student raised a tentacle. Have you fought worse, personally? No. But my ancestors fought predators with nothing but rocks. They fought diseases that killed half the population. They fought each other in wars that should have destroyed our entire species. They fought starvation, fought droughts, fought ice ages, and they won. Every single time they found a way to win. That is in my blood. That is in every human's blood. The legacy of 10,000 generations of survivors who refused to die. Varax felt his mandibles click thoughtfully. So when we called humans to fight the frontier wars, you called the one species in the galaxy that specializes in fighting things we cannot beat, Kira finished. The species that earned our place at the top of the food chain by being more stubborn than anything trying to eat us. You called the species that turned warfare into an art form. Because we spent most of our history at war. You called humans. And humans do not lose. Not because we cannot, but because we will not. The room erupted in noise. Students arguing, discussing, some excited, some frightened. Verax let it go for a moment before raising two of his hands for silence. All right? All right? Settle down. He looked at Kira, really looked at her, and saw something he had missed before. Strength, real strength. Not physical power, but something deeper. Something that had carried her species from primitive hunters to galactic citizens. Cadet Vale, he said formally. Sir, you will assist me in teaching this class from now on. I think the students would benefit from a human perspective on combat theory. Kira blinked in surprise. Sir, I am just a first-year cadet. You just beat a decorated combat instructor in single combat in under 5 seconds. Rivax interrupted. You clearly know something I do not. And unlike some species, I am capable of admitting when I am wrong and learning from it. The class burst into applause. Even the students who had been laughing at Kira earlier were clapping. She had earned their respect the old-fashioned way, by proving herself. Kira smiled, a genuine warm smile that transformed her face. Thank you, sir. I would be honored. Good. Now everyone back to your seats. We have a lot to cover today. Vax limped back to his position at the front of the room, his legs still aching. Cadet Vale, perhaps you can explain to the class the human concept of asymmetric warfare. Kira took her position beside him. Gladly, sir. Asymmetric warfare is when you fight an enemy who is stronger than you by changing the rules of engagement. You do not fight them where they are strong, you fight them where they are weak. And she launched into an explanation of human military history that had the entire class on the edge of their seats. Stories of small forces defeating large armies through clever tactics, tales of guerrilla warfare, of resistance movements, of ordinary people doing extraordinary things when pushed to their limits. Vax listened and learned, and slowly, very slowly, he began to understand why the brass kept requesting human operatives for impossible missions. Because impossible was where humans thrived. 3 weeks had passed since the incident in Vax's combat theory class. 3 weeks of Kira Vale quietly dismantling every preconception the Academy had about humans. She assisted in teaching. She demonstrated techniques. She sparred with students twice her size and won every single time. The other instructors had started to notice. Commander Thiel, the Academy's head of advanced tactics, stood in the observation gallery, watching Kira run a training simulation. Below, in the hollow arena, she was facing off against a squad quest 6 Krell warriors. Big ones. Mean ones. The kind that crushed starship hulls with their bare hands. This is ridiculous, they muttered. She was a Vorthian like Vrax, but older, more experienced, with scars that told stories of real combat. How is she doing this? Beside her, Vrax clicked his mandibles in what might have been amusement. She is human. They do not follow our rules. On the field below, Kira dodged a massive fist that could have pulverized her skull. She slid between the Krellar's legs, came up behind him and did something to the back of his knee that made all 300 kilograms of warrior crash to the ground like a falling building. Then she was moving again. A blur of motion, taking down the second Krellar before the others could react. She should be dead. The tail said flatly, by every metric, every calculation, every simulation we have ever run, she should be dead. And yet Vedmaruk said. Kira finished the simulation by using the 6th Krell's own momentum against him, directing his charge into a wall. The hollow field shut down. 6 massive warriors lay groaning on the ground. The tiny human stood in the center, breathing hard but still standing. They pulled up Kira's file on her datapad. Kira Vale. Age 23 standard cycles. From Earth, North American continent. Place called Colorado. No military family background. No genetic enhancements. No cybernetic augmentations. She is completely 100% baseline human. Baseline terrifying, Vax corrected. This does not make sense. That scrolled through the performance metrics. Her reaction time is 0.4 seconds slower than a Vorthian. Her strength is 60% less than a Krell. Her endurance is actually okay. Her endurance is off the charts. What is that about? Persistence predator biology. Vax explained. He had done his homework after his humiliating defeat. Humans evolved to chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They have absurd cardiovascular efficiency. That is horrifying. Welcome to my world, Commander. They watched as Kira helped the Krell warriors to their feet, offering water and checking them for injuries. There was no arrogance in her movements. No gloating. Just professional concern for her training partners. She is too good. First-year cadets are not this good. I have been teaching for 40 cycles, and I have never seen a first-year perform like this. Maybe human training is better than we thought. Or maybe, they said slowly, she is not what she appears to be. Vax felt his scales ripple with unease. What are you suggesting? I am suggesting that we run a full background check. A real one. Because something about Cadet Vale does not add up. Down in the arena, Kira looked up at the observation gallery. Even from this distance, Vax could see those muddy brown eyes lock onto them. Could see the slight smile on her face. Like she knew exactly what they were discussing. Like she had been waiting for them to figure it out. The background check came back clean. Too clean. The human sat in her office. staring at the file with growing frustration. Kira Vale's records were perfect. Birth certificate from Denver Medical Center. School records showing above average but not exceptional performance. Standard medical history. No red flags. No irregularities. Except it all felt wrong. Like a perfectly constructed lie. Run it again, she told her assistant. A nervous sylph named Pira. Cross-reference with Earth databases. I want to know everything about this human. Pira's wings fluttered anxiously. Commander, is this really necessary? Cadet Vale has done nothing wrong. She has done everything right. That is what worries me. Light pulled up the combat simulation footage again, watching Kira move. There was something in the way she fought. Something practiced. Professional. Not like a cadet learning. Like a veteran teaching. The second background check came back identical to the first. Perfect. Clean. Completely unremarkable. I did not believe it for a second. She called Vrax to her office. I need you to do something for me. What? Push her. In class. Push her hard. See if you can make her break. Make her reveal whatever she is hiding. Vrax tilted his head. You really think she is hiding something? I know she is hiding something. I just cannot prove it. I tapped her datapad against her desk. A nervous habit. No one is this good naturally. No one picks up combat skills this fast. She is either enhanced, which the medical scans say she is not, or she has training we do not know about, or she is just talented. Talent does not beat 6 Krell warriors without taking a single hit. Instructor Vax. Skill does. Years of skill. Decades of skill. And she is only 23. Vervax considered this. What do you want me to do? The Academy Games are in 2 weeks. The combat tournament. Enter her. Commander, that tournament is for advanced cadets. 3rd and 4th years. Some of them are already combat veterans. It would be cruel to put a first year in that arena. They smiled. It was not a nice smile. Then it will be a good test. If she is really just a naturally gifted first year, she will lose in the first round and learn a valuable lesson about humility. But if she is something else, if she has been hiding her true capabilities, then maybe she will slip up, show us who she really is. Kira stood in the staging area for the Academy Combat Tournament, listening to the roar of the crowd above. Thousands of spectators from dozens of species, all gathered to watch the best cadets in the galaxy beat each other senseless for glory and honor. This was a bad idea. She had known it was a bad idea when Vax told her she was entered. Knew it was a trap, knew they were testing her, but she could not refuse without raising more suspicion. Beside her, a massive Mandorian named Krieg cracked his knuckles. He was her first opponent, 3 meters of muscle and rage hormones, with a combat record that included actual battlefield commendations. Nothing personal, human, he rumbled, but I am going to break you in half. You can try, Kira said pleasantly. I will do more than try. You do not belong here. This is a tournament for real warriors, not soft little academy pets. Kira turned to look at him fully. Do you know what humans used to do for entertainment before we had space travel? Krieg blinked, confused by the question. What? We fought each other, sometimes with weapons, sometimes without. We built entire arenas for it. Thousands of people would gather to watch 2 humans beat each other until one could not stand anymore. We called it boxing, or wrestling, or about a dozen other names. My point is, humans have been doing this for fun longer than your species has had written language. Your ancestors were barbarians. Yes, Kira agreed. They absolutely were. So am I. That is what you do not understand about humans. Civilization is very thin veneer. Underneath, we are still the barbarians who conquered an entire planet with nothing but stone tools and attitude. The arena announcer called their names. Time to fight. They walked out into the arena together. The crowd noise was deafening. Kira looked up at the thousands of alien faces staring down at her. In the VIP box, she could see Commander Thal and Instructor Vrax watching intently. Yeah, definitely a test. The referee, a neutral Telmarian, went through the rules. Standard combat regulations. No lethal force. No permanent injury. Fight until submission or knockout. The crowd loved it. They were already chanting Krieg's name. Nobody was chanting for the human. Fighters ready? the referee asked. Korvat took a deep breath. She had been careful these past weeks, holding back. Showing skill but not too much skill. Playing the part of the talented cadet. Maybe it was time to stop playing. Ready. Begin. Krieg charged. All 3 meters of him moving fast despite his size. His fist came down in an overhead smash that would have turned Kira into a paste. She was not there. She had moved left, faster than she had shown before, and her hand shot out to strike the nerve cluster behind his knee. Not the front where everyone expected. The back. The one spot most fighters did not protect because it should be impossible to reach during a forward charge. Krieg's leg buckled. He stumbled, and Kira was already moving to her next target. She hit him 6 times in 3 seconds. Nerve strikes, pressure points, specific impacts designed to shut down muscle groups and overload pain receptors. Krieg crashed to the ground, gasping, his entire left side non-responsive. The crowd went silent. Kira stood over the fallen Mandorian, breathing steadily. "Do you yield?" Krieg tried to stand, could not, tried again, failed. "I yield," he finally gasped. The arena exploded in noise, shock, disbelief, excitement. The tiny human had just destroyed a decorated Mandorian warrior in less than 10 seconds. In the VIP box, they leaned forward. What was that? Vex was watching Kira with new eyes. That was not academy training. No, Thal agreed. That was something else entirely. Kira won her next 4 matches the same way. Fast, brutal, efficient. Each fight lasted less than 30 seconds. Each opponent was left wondering what had happened. She moved through the tournament bracket like a force of nature, unstoppable and terrifying. The crowd started chanting her name. By the time she reached the finals, everyone in the academy knew who she was. The human who fought like a demon. The tiny cadet who crushed opponents twice her size. The mystery who had appeared from nowhere. Her final opponent was a 4th-year Vorthian named Salk. He was good. Really good. He had watched all her previous fights, studied her patterns, knew her tricks. "You are fast," he told her before the match. "But I am faster. You are skilled, but I have been doing this for years. You will lose." Kira just smiled. "We will see." The final match started. Salk was everything he had promised. Fast, skilled, experienced. He countered her first 3 attacks, blocked her strikes, anticipated her movements. The fight went longer than any of her previous matches. 20 seconds. 30. 40. The crowd was going insane. Kira realized she was going to have to stop holding back entirely, and that meant revealing more than she had wanted to reveal. But she had come this far. Might as well commit. She changed her fighting style mid-combat. Switched from the defensive reactive style she had been using to something else. Something older, more aggressive. The style her instructors had drilled into her through years of training. The style she was not supposed to know. Salk's eyes widened as Kira suddenly became a completely different fighter. She stopped defending and started attacking. Rapid combinations. Feints within feints. Strikes from angles that should not be possible for human anatomy. Because she was not using human anatomy anymore. Not entirely, she was using everything she had learned. Everything she had trained for. Everything she broke through Salk's guard and put him down hard. The Vorthian hit the ground and did not get up. The crowd roared. The referee declared Kira the winner. First-year cadet. Combat tournament champion. Commander Thies stood up in the VIP box. "Get her. Now bring her to my office immediately." Kira sat in Commander Thal's office, still wearing her combat gear, still sweating from the tournament. Thal stood behind her desk, arms crossed, staring at the human cadet with open suspicion. The Flax stood by the door, silent, watching. "That was an impressive performance," the Flaws said finally. "Thank you, Commander. Too impressive. Impossibly impressive." The pulled up footage from the final match. "This move here, where you dislocated your own shoulder to create an attack angle. That is not academy training. I am flexible, sir. This combination here. 7 strikes in 2 seconds, each one targeting a different nerve cluster. That is not something you learn from data pads." Kira said nothing. "And this?" They zoomed in on a moment where Kira's eyes had changed. Just for a fraction of a second, The brown had flickered to something else. Something bright. Something that definitely was not human. "What is that, Cadet Vale?" Kira sighed. Long and slow. "I was hoping to avoid this conversation for at least another year." "Avoid what conversation?" "The one where I explain that I am not exactly what I appear to be." The temperature in the room dropped. Humendrix straightened. His hand moved toward the security alert on her desk. Kira held up her hands. "I am not a threat. I am not a spy. I am not a weapon planted by an enemy power. I am just complicated." "Explain. Now." Kira stood up slowly. "My file says I am from Earth. That is true. My file says I am 23 years old. That is technically also true for this body. My file says I am baseline human with no enhancements." "And that part?" they demanded. "That part is a lie." Kira reached up and touched her temple. "I should probably show you." "Words are not going to cut it." "Show us what?" "What I really am." Kira closed her eyes and changed. It was not dramatic. No explosion of light. No transformation sequence. Just a subtle shift. As the camouflage fell away, her skin rippled. And suddenly it was not just peachy human flesh anymore. Patterns appeared. Bioluminescent markings that ran along her arms, her neck, her face. Old scars that had been hidden. Augmentations that had been concealed. Her eyes opened and they were not brown anymore. They were gold, bright predatory gold with slit pupils. Her hair moved on its own, each strand shifting slightly, revealing itself to be something more than keratin. Sensor filaments, combat processors, biological technology woven into her body at a cellular level. "My name is Kira Vale," she said, and her voice had changed too. Deeper, multiple harmonics, like several voices speaking in perfect unison. "I am human, but I am also something more. I am what humanity creates when we need to fight things that should not be fightable. I am what happens when you take human stubbornness, human creativity, and human refusal to accept limits and you engineer it into a weapon." They stared. They said. Neither could speak. Kira continued. "Earth High Command has a program. It is very secret, very illegal by galactic law. They take volunteers, humans who want to serve, and they enhance us. Not with cybernetics, not with genetic manipulation that would show up on your scans. With something else, something we developed ourselves. Bio-organic integration. The enhancements are alive. They are part of us. They grow with us. They adapt. They learn." "You are a super soldier," they finally managed. "I am a human who has been optimized for combat," Kira corrected. It tedded. "There is a difference. My enhancements do not make me stronger or faster in ways your scanners can measure. They make me better, more efficient. I can process information faster, react quicker, learn from every fight. My body heals minor damage in real time. My senses extend into spectrums you cannot imagine. And I can fight at a level that terrifies even me sometimes." Vervax found his voice. "Why? Why would Earth create something like you?" Kira turned those gold eyes on him. "Because we had to. When humanity joined the galactic community, we realized how far behind we were, how weak we were compared to species that had been spacefaring for millennia. We were the new kids, the primitives, the ones everyone expected to fail, and humans do not accept failure. So you cheated," they said. "We adapted," Kira corrected. "We did what humans always do. We saw a problem, and we solved it. The problem was that we were individually weaker than most galactic species. The solution was to make humans who were not weak, who could stand toe-to-toe with anyone, and win. How many of you are there?" "That is classified. But enough scattered through the academy, through the military, through special operations units, learning, training, preparing." "For what?" Kira was quiet for a long moment. "For when the galaxy needs us, for when the threats come that normal soldiers cannot handle, for the impossible missions, the suicide runs, the battles where winning means sacrificing everything. Humans do those well. We have practice." They sat down heavily in her chair. "This is a massive violation of galactic enhancement protocols. If this becomes public, Earth could be expelled from the Alliance. Sanctioned. Quarantine. I know. You are admitting to being an illegal weapons platform. I am admitting to being a volunteer who chose to serve her species in the best way she could. Kira's voice was steady, calm. I joined this program knowing what it would cost, knowing I could never have a normal life, knowing I would be a secret hidden in plain sight. I did it anyway, because humans need protectors. And I wanted to be one. Vivek stepped forward. Why reveal yourself now? You could have kept hiding, because you were going to figure it out eventually. Commander Thalite is too smart, too thorough. Better to control the revelation than have it exposed. Kira looked at both of them. And because I need you to understand something, I am not your enemy. None of us are. We are what humans created to protect not just humanity, but all the species in the Alliance. When the real threats come, and they are coming, you will be glad we exist. What threats? They demanded. That is also classified. But let us just say that humanity's intelligence networks have detected problems. Big problems. Things moving in the dark between stars. Things that make the frontier raids look like children playing soldiers. When those threats arrive, when the galaxy needs warriors who can fight impossible odds, you will call for humans. And we will answer. The room was silent for a long time. Finally, they spoke. I should report this. I should call Galactic Command right now and have you arrested. You should, Kira agreed. But you will not. Why not? Because you are a soldier. A real soldier. And you recognize the value of having weapons like me on your side rather than against you. Because you know that wars are coming. Because you are smart enough to understand that sometimes the rules need to be bent to protect people. They glared at her. You are very confident. I am very human. Confidence is what we do. Another long silence. Then Vess started laughing. That deep, clicking Vorthian laugh that made his whole body shake. By the ancestors, I hate that you are right. But you are absolutely right. Data looked at him. You cannot be serious. I am completely serious, Commander. Look at her. Really look at her. That is what humanity built in less than a century of being spacefaring. Imagine what they will build in 1,000 years. In 10,000. We can either work with them or against them. And I know which side I want to be on when the real fighting starts. Kira smiled. Smart choice. Instructor Vox. They rubbed her temples. This is insane. You are insane. Your entire species is insane. Correct on all counts, Kira said cheerfully. But we are your insane allies. And when things go bad, you will be very glad we are on your side. Dela looked at the human, at the bioluminescent patterns still glowing on her skin, at those predatory gold eyes, and made a decision. This conversation never happened. As far as anyone knows, you are just a very talented baseline human cadet. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me. Just do not make me regret this. And for the love of all that is sacred, try to be a little less obviously superhuman in your next fights. You are drawing too much attention. Kira's appearance rippled, and suddenly she looked human again. Brown eyes. Normal skin. Just a regular girl. I will try to be more subtle. Good. Now get out of my office before I change my mind. Kira left. Vetr moved to follow, but Del stopped him. What do you really think? Varex clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. I think humans are terrifying. I think they will either save the galaxy or destroy it. Possibly both at the same time. And we are going to help them? We are going to help them save it, and try to make sure they do not destroy it in the process. They nodded slowly. Humans? Why did it have to be humans? Because the universe has a sense of humor, Vrax said. A dark, twisted sense of humor. Kira walked back to her quarters through the academy halls. Students and cadets parted to let her pass, whispering, staring. The tournament champion. The human who beat everyone. She smiled to herself. The secret was out, at least to the people who mattered, and they had made the right choice. The smart choice. Humanity was playing a long game. A very long game. And pieces like her were already being positioned across the galaxy. Waiting. Preparing. Ready for when the darkness came. Because it was coming. The intelligence was clear. Something was moving in the spaces between stars. Something old, something hungry, something that would make the current galactic conflicts look like playground disputes. And when it arrived, when the galaxy faced extinction, everyone would call for help. They would call for humans, and humans would answer. Because that was what humans did. They fought impossible odds. They protected those who could not protect themselves. They stood between civilization and chaos and said, "No further." Kira reached her quarters and sat on her bed. She let the camouflage fully drop, let her true form show, the glowing marks, the enhanced eyes, the living technology woven into her flesh. This was what humanity had become. What they had needed to become. Not just survivors anymore. Protectors. And if the galaxy thought baseline humans were terrifying, wait until they saw what humanity could do when they really tried. Kira smiled, and in that smile was the promise of a species that refused to quit, that refused to lose, that would fight the darkness until the stars went cold. Humanity had entered the galactic stage, and the galaxy would never be the same.